Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we'll be talking about Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends parking lot brawl from the September 16th episode of AEW Dynamite. And we're gonna tell a story first. So a couple of weeks back, I forget, maybe about a month, maybe a month and a half back, the Best Friends pinned Santana and Ortiz in a tag team match. Santana and Ortiz got angry, went to the back and destroyed the van of Trent's mom. I believe it was Trent's mom. They beat it with bats, busted it windows, busted the beat everything, beat it to shit. Best Friends wanted an apology, because they're good mama's boys. They wanted an apology, and Santana and Ortiz said, "Yeah, we're sorry that your mama wasn't in the van when we beat it up." And they were good thugs, hard heads from the streets. I like that. So they get into this fight. The previous week on September the 9th, 8th, I think, yeah, it was the 9th, they jumped Orange Cassidy from behind. Santana and Ortiz did. Orange Cassidy had been feuding with Chris Jericho. Santana and Ortiz are members of the Inner Circle. So it makes sense that they would beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy, which they did, and that's fine and all. So then they have this match. It's signed up parking lot brawl, Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends, September the 16th. So we start the match. First thing I noticed is Santana and Ortiz are face painted. Now, at first, I thought it was a Day of the Dead kind of thing that they were going for. Of course, later on, I figured it out. It was supposed to be Dead Presidents, which is based off the 1996 movie, or is it 1995? One of those years. The Lorenz Tate movie about bank robbers. It was a fucking awesome movie. If you've never seen Dead Presidents, you really need to go see it. So that was the inspiration for their face paint, and it's a badass look. It's a great look. I thought it was Hispanic. I thought it was a Hispanic thing because Thunder Rosa does the Day of the Dead stuff. In any event, uh, the match itself was bloody. It was violent. Trent and uh, Chuck Taylor showed some fire. They showed some balls. They took it to Santana and Ortiz. Santana and Ortiz were two hard head thugs. They're boots and jeans guys from New York. This is their element. You know, this is what they do. They this is what they're made of. This is kind of what LAX was built on when they were in TNA. It's about being tough guys, being I don't want to use the word thugs. I like the word hard heads. I kind of like that, like they're street guys. This is their element. This is what they do. They broke out the ball bats. They broke out 2x4s. They threw them all against the cars. It really and AEW did the right thing. They did a parking lot brawl that was world class, mid South type of a brawl where there was plenty of blood and violence and fire. There was people out there to make noise. There was cars, so you could see the visible environmental violence. That was good shit. And you contrast that to WWE's parking lot brawl, or NXT's parking lot brawl between Adam Cole and the Velveteen Dream, which was bullshit. It was absolute bullshit. They spent most of the match stumbling around. There was no blood. There was no real violence. They had a baseball bat that they never used. The finish came with just a stack of chairs in the middle of the ring. It was just real lame. It was a really really lame match. It's almost like it had no right to call itself a parking lot brawl compared to this. And I've never said anything about that like that about AEW. But if you put two parking lot brawls against each other, the AEW match looks like a legitimate parking lot brawl. Like some guys got drunk after a baseball game and then just went at it, right? Like they got drunk after a football game, and now somebody's got to pay because they lost a lot of money on the game. Somebody got to get hurt. So I fucks with it on that level. It was wild and woolly, and it was great. Uh, there's no point in calling moves here. There's no point in that. But it was violent. I think it had just enough violence, and I think that Chuck Taylor and Trent showed some fire. They showed some balls. Like I said, they stepped up. to the Santana and Ortiz's. They walked into their wheelhouse, and they won. Now, how they won, I didn't essentially appreciate that. They won because Orange Cassidy was hiding in the trunk of one of these cars, and then he popped out. Superman punched both guys with brass knuckles on, or something like that, and essentially taking them out. And then Trent got the. I think it might have been Chuck Taylor that got the pinfall win. After there was some power drivers on top of cars and everything, and essentially the baby faces cheated. The baby faces brought out an extra person. The heels didn't have an extra person. The baby faces brought out an extra person to cheat and won. Now you can say, well, there's no such thing as cheating. It was a parking lot brawl. True. It wasn't against the rules, but it's morally incorrect. The baby faces are supposed to be the paragons of virtue. They're not supposed to be cheaters. And I don't get what they're doing in AEW with their baby faces and heels. Look, I'm not going to say this was a heel turn. It was a heel turn. It's not. It's not a heel turn. It's clearly Orange Cassidy got beat up by Santana and Ortiz, and so now he's beating up them at this most opportune moment when they seem like they're going to win this fight. All of a sudden, Orange Cassidy shows up to help his homeboys. But why not let his homeboys win the match? You don't. Why does he need to help them? It says a lot about them that he needed to help them. And then they went right back to being Mama's boys and all jumped in Mama's van right afterwards. So, look, you got the meat, right? The burger of this whole ordeal. Like if he was building a hamburger, if he built this match like a hamburger, the meat of the match was perfectly fine. Well cooked, perfect. Okay. Medium rare, medium rare, medium well. I'm a medium well guy. Let's go medium well. But everything around it, the accoutrements, is absolute bullshit. Okay. It is bullshit. It is bullshit that you had the baby faces with an unfair numerical advantage. It is bullshit that you had these mama's boys. You played up these guys as mama's boys for weeks and weeks and weeks. They're doing sissy stuff like holding hands and hugging, and they're not being tough guys. They're not really taking the fight to Santana and Ortiz. That sucks. And then you show them being tough guys, and you're like, okay, well, maybe you're showing a separate part of their personality that they can step up and be tough guys when they need to be, but they prefer to be holding hands and hugging. It's like, but why? But why? Why? You have to answer that question. Why do they prefer to not be tough guys at all times? If it means they be tag team champions or something like they're not that successful to the point where they can be like, okay, we can bullshit. It goes back to what I said about Orange Cassidy in my Orange Cassidy video. It's unearned laziness. If they have this amount of fire and skill and talent and balls and determination that they can bleed and almost die and still fight back, if they have that in them, why isn't that there all the time? Shouldn't that always be there? We should always be seeing that stuff, right? So they had an unfair numerical advantage. They were mama's boys before the match. They went back to being mama's boys afterwards. Then you had Santana and Ortiz, who were the hardheads, the tough guys, the thugs, the burglars, the Boogaloo boys. Not the Boogaloo. No, they're not the Boogaloo boys. I just got a little ahead of myself there. But they're your hardheads, and they lose in a match that is in their environment. Which, okay, the heels have to lose in the end. That makes sense. But Santana and Ortiz always lose. They simply always lose. Look, I don't get what's wrong with Santana and Ortiz. Look, maybe Ortiz is the problem, because I don't like Ortiz. I have to admit, not really a fan. But I don't understand why these guys can never get a big win. I don't understand. Nobody in the inner circle tried to help them either. At least I don't remember anything. Did I sit down and study the match? No. I looked at it. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Doing something else. But so did Sammy Guevara interfere? I didn't see him. I didn't see Sammy Guevara anywhere. Chris Jericho didn't help him. Jake Hager didn't help him. Nobody helped him. So why did Orange Cassidy have to be involved? Now, if you want to say Orange Cassidy, again, if Orange Cassidy is involved because, they beat him up, okay, but he could have, that's still not the appropriate way to do things. You have them beat up, you have Santana and Ortiz beat up Orange Cassidy to get the best friends into the match, where now the baby faces are going to fight on equal footing with the heels and overcome them, right? That's proper storytelling. The heels want the unfair advantage. They think that the parking lot brawl is going to give them the advantage because they can use weapons and they're tough guys. This is their element. And so the mama's boys are out of their element. They're going to go out and prove that they can hang with the tough guys. That's the story of this match. But for some reason, what we ended up getting was that the babyfaces could not overcome the heels naturally. And so they cheated. They needed an unfair advantage. That's bullshit. So that's your stale lettuce. That is your moldy bread. That is your shit sandwich. You had a well-made piece of meat in this match, but everything around it was the shits. Everything around it was the shits. So I don't know. I don't like best friends, but this almost made me. And then they all hopped back in mom's car after the match, like kids going to school. Like this is, I don't know. I don't understand why they can't just be men. Like I don't understand why they have like pseudo body hair. Why can't they just be men? I don't get it. Why can't they just be dudes? Somebody let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later.